What's up, cinephiles? My name is TJ, and welcome to Cinemateq. It's time for your weekly news wrap-up, so let's get right into those film industry stories. Starting off with John Cooper at the Sundance Film Festival. He is the director of the festival, but he is now stepping down. Cooper will be moving to an emeritus director position that's being created specifically for him, and he's going to be overseeing special projects, including the 40th anniversary of the Sundance Festival in 2021. Cooper has been director of the Sundance Film Festival for the last 11 years, and with next year's 2020 festival, he will have been at the festival for 30 consecutive years. John Cooper's participation in the Sundance Film Festival is almost as old as I am. That's insane. A replacement for Cooper has yet to be named, but we can expect one to be named soon, probably at the 2020 Sundance Film Festival. If you've been paying attention to the film news, you might have heard another story related to Sundance that broke this week. We're not going to be talking about it because we're trying a fun little experiment where we're going to only talk about non-controversial things this week and see how that affects our standing in the YouTube algorithm. However, if you're curious about what I'm talking about, please take a moment to Google Sterling Van Bogenen's name and then be assured that there is truly justice in this world. Moving on to more festival news, the Fantasia Film Festival in Montreal has announced its final lineup, and it's a doozy. Some of the new films announced for the festival include Sadako, the Ringu sequel from director Hideo Nakata, Ready or Not, starring Samara Weaving, The Lodge, which had its initial premiere at Sundance, and Vivarium, which recently debuted at Cannes and stars Jesse Eisenberg and Imogen Poots. World premieres announced for the festival include Mystery of the Night, Blood on Her Name, Stare, One Bedroom, The Deeper You Dig, and Homewrecker. Now, out of all of these world premieres, I'm most excited for One Bedroom because based on the blurb that I read about it, it takes place in an apartment complex. And when it comes to modern horror, when we start thinking about the Conjuring series and other films of its ilk, we often get the horror taking place in these large, Baroque houses that no one really lives in anymore. And to a certain extent, having the horror take place in that location allows the viewer to more easily shake off what they've just seen. The horror isn't happening around them in a city, it's happening in the country, far away from where they actually are. Having a horror film be located primarily in an apartment complex is not only far more realistic and an experience that more people can relate to, considering most people actually live in cities, in apartments, but it means that the horror, the horrific images that you see in the film can easily translate into your own 300 square foot apartment when you finally get home from the theater that night. But I want to know what you think. What is your favorite kind of location for a horror film? And does the location affect your general opinion of the film and how much it actually scares you? Moving on, we have one more little news item pertaining to the Fantasia Film Fest. The 70s zombie film, The Living Dead at Manchester Morgue, is getting a brand new 4K restoration, and this brand new restoration will be premiering at Fantasia Fest. Synapse Films is taking on the restoration, and they plan on having it ready to debut at Fantasia Fest on July 27th. The film will also be released to Blu-ray later this year, so you have some 70s zombie action fun to look forward to later on in the year. Keeping with the theme of restoration, India is taking on an enormous preservation and restoration project with its films. It's absolutely massive. Prakash Javadinjar, I'm so sorry, I'm saying your name wrong, but you are the Minister of Information and Broadcasting in India, gave an update recently on the National Film Heritage Mission that is currently being undertaken in India. So as of right now, they have completed assessment on 132,000 film reels out of a projected 150,000 film reels. That is a lot. To put that into perspective, a feature-length film from the classical Hollywood era, let's say something that's running between 90 minutes and 100 minutes, would be 6 to 7 reels. So divide 6 into all of that, and that's how many feature films we're talking about. It's a lot. The minister also confirmed that the films that are going to be digitized will start that digitization process very, very soon. Overall, I just want to say that this National Film Heritage Mission is a great idea. I wish more countries would do things like this. It's so important to take care of our visual history, and the films that we make are a part of that. If we don't take care of these films, they'll just degrade and turn into nothing, and we will just lose them. Preservation is an active investment in the cultural history of your country and really of just society in general. It's something that has to happen, and I'm so proud of India for the work that they're doing. I applaud them. I would applaud them if I wasn't holding a cell phone right now. Good job. Yay. Yes. Yes. Actual clapping. Moving on, in a previous episode, we talked about how 3 films by Abbas Kiarostami were coming to the Criterion Collection. That would be his Corker trilogy. And now we've gotten word that a huge project to restore all of his films has now finished. This is not the first time we've talked about Kiarostami on this channel. We previously reported that his Corker trilogy is going to be released by the Criterion Collection soon. Now it appears that all of his films have been restored, and Criterion's got something to do with it. According to the Tehran Times, all of his features have been restored, all of his documentaries have been restored, and all of the short films that he made for the Institute of Intellectual Development of Children and Young Adults have also been restored. This restoration was a 2-year process and was headed up by MK2 in France, the Criterion Collection in the US, and Janus Films in the US. Since Criterion was involved in the restoration process, I would say it's a sure bet that we're going to be seeing even more Kiarostami films released both physically and on the Criterion channel soon. And that's always great news. If this is the first time you're hearing Kiarostami's name, he is considered to be the greatest Iranian director who's ever lived, and his films are definitely worth checking out. So please do so if you haven't. And if you have seen a few of Kiarostami's films before, let us know which one is your favorite in the comments below. Moving on to something that I can't believe I didn't know about until I actually saw this news story. Apparently there is a film prize in the European Union called the Lux, and they have just announced the shortlist of 10 films that will be competing for the prize. The prize is awarded to a film that was made in Europe, and the people who vote on it are actually the members of the European Parliament. The films that are selected for the 10-film shortlist are supposed to discuss the diversity of Europe while also touching on the issues that Europeans face on a day-to-day basis. A jury then looks at those 10 films and gets the list down to 3. Members of the European Parliament are then able to view those 3 films and then vote on which film they think is best. Overall, I think this is a pretty interesting and unique concept, but there are some other implications to this prize being handed out. And of course, if you're not new to this channel, you know we're about to talk about awards season. Films that have won the Lux Award in the past included Ida in 2014, which then went on to win the Best Foreign Film Award at the Oscars, and then Mustang won the award in 2015, and then it went on to be nominated for Best Foreign Language Film at the Oscars, and then in 2016, Tony Erdmann won the award, and then went on to be nominated for the Best Foreign Language Feature Award at the Oscars. You're starting to see a theme here. Now, the last 2 years, the films that won didn't make it as far as the Oscars. However, we can still look at this in a positive way. The film that won the prize last year, Women at War, which is from Iceland, probably wouldn't have gotten international distribution, or at least been distributed as widely as it was, if not for winning this award. I actually remember that Women at War was screening in Toronto for a few weeks, and Icelandic films don't really come through Toronto that often, if ever. I can't remember the last time one was here that wasn't part of a special selection at TIFF. So it's going to be interesting to see who comes out of this competition and how their fortunes will change because of it. One last piece of, wait, my voice is weird.
One last piece of restoration news!
Shut up, Emily.
You just mouth the words and I'll sit here with your phone and just read what you have to say.
I don't have a script here. I just have.
Then what are you looking at? Pretend TJ looks down, just a picture of himself with a thumbs up. I do got this.
You can do it, buddy. You're right.
Thanks, little teaser.
In one last piece of restoration news, Stanley Kubrick's Paths of Glory has been fully restored, and it is now being presented at film festivals. The restoration of Paths of Glory was taken on by the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, who run the Golden Globes, so good on them for actually caring about film restoration and getting their hands dirty with this kind of thing, and the Karlovy Vary Film Festival in the Czech Republic. I'm sorry, once again, if I said that name wrong. I am not very good at this. Now, the big question I have is, when am I going to be able to see this film? Stanley Kubrick is one of my favorite directors, one of the most well-renowned and well-respected directors who's ever lived, and there's a new restoration of one of his films. I ran out as quickly as I possibly could to see the 4K restoration of The Shining, and now this is happening. I gotta see it. When is it coming here? Tell me when it's coming here. You probably don't have that answers. Actually, if you do have the answers, let us know in the comments below. See how I did that? It's a nice little transition. Now, it's usually at this point in the episode when I talk about movies that I want to put into my eyes right now. It's our way of talking about trailers that just released for films that we're excited about. And honestly, there wasn't a lot of trailers that came out this week that really excited me. There was one that piqued my interest, however. It is called Burn. It is the directorial debut of Mike Gahn, and it looks like a pretty good thriller. Based on what we see in the trailer, this movie looks a little nuts. It's about a gas station attendant who likes to burn herself with coffee, but then someone comes into the gas station and tries to rob it, but then she captures that guy and takes his gun, but then his crew shows up and then she waves the gun in their face, but she's still burning herself with coffee occasionally. That's really all I've been able to glean about the film from this trailer. Like I said, it's just weird, wacky enough to make you think to yourself, yeah, I'm kind of interested to see what they're trying to do with this. So while I don't want to put it in my eyes right now, I will definitely check it out when I have the chance to.
I burn myself all the time. It's not a bad thing. Fire just forces things to change really fast.
And that, my friends, is all we have for this weekly news wrap-up. Thank you for checking out Cinemateq. Please like this video if you liked it. If you don't, Emily will never work on one of these videos again, and I know she'd be super sad about that.
Yep.
Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more of these kinds of videos. And we will not be doing a weekly news wrap-up next week because we will be in VidCon. Instead of a weekly news wrap-up, we are still going to be releasing a video on Friday. You'll have to come back to check it out, and I hope that you do. So we'll see you next time. I've never really figured out how to sign out of this properly.
No, you haven't.
Yeah, that's a lot to do.